بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحانك لا علم لنا الا ما علمتنا انك انت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وعن نافع ابن عبد الحارث رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من سعادة المرء الجار الصالح والمركب الهني والمسكن الواسع. In this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us about three signs of a person being fortunate. Three signs of a person being fortunate. The first one, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his hadith, is min sa'adatil mar'i al-jaru salih, to have good, pious neighbors. Wal markabul hani, and to have a pleasant and a good ride, a car. Wal maskanul wasi', and to have a spacious house. In another hadith of a similar nature, narrated by Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there are four things which are part of happiness, which are part of the good fortune of a Muslim. The first one is a righteous wife. Number two, a spacious dwelling. Number three, a good neighbor. And number four, a comfortable mount, comfortable car. And four things are part of misery. Number one, a bad wife. Number two, a bad neighbor. Number three, a bad mount. And four, a small restrictive house and home. So these are the things Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned regarding a person being fortunate and which brings happiness to a person. And once Abu Musa radiallahu anhu says, I came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he was performing wudu, and after wudu I heard him making this dua, and he says, Allahumma gfir li dhanbi, that Ya Allah, forgive my sins. وَوَسِّعْ لِي fi dari, and Ya Allah, make my house spacious, grant me spaciousness in my house. وَبَارِكْ لِي fi rizqi, and Ya Allah, grant me barakah and sustenance in my rizq. Barakah in my rizq. So these three things, that Ya Allah, give me a big home, give me forgiveness, give me a big home, and also give me barakah in my blessings. So then Abu Musa radiallahu anhu, he says, Ya Rasulullah, I heard you making this dua out of surprise, that you are saying forgive me, but at the same time you're also saying give me a big house, and you are saying to grant barakah in your sustenance. So apparently these things seem worldly things, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him that, do they leave anything out? Hal tarakna min shay? Do they leave anything out? Meaning, if a person achieves these three things, then you have everything. You have peace, you have contentment in your life. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked a spacious house. And Mufti Shafi Sahib rahmatullah alayh, he used to say that many people, they race after material possessions, that if they have money, then they'll buy this, they will buy that, this equipment or that equipment or this technology or this. They'll race towards buying many different things. But he says there is one material possession which is very important, and everyone must strive for this. And he says this is buying your own home. A person buying their own home is a very important material possession that we should all try and have. And he says that we should not be dependent on accommodation to someone else or renting. And he says that the money that is spent in achieving this goal of having your own home is money well spent. It's worth spending that money. And the money spent in every all other useless pursuits, that is useless, and you have in a way wasted your money. So when we own our own home, our own house, number one, it provides us financial stability. It provides us personal stability, not only for us, but for our children as well. And also mentally, that you have peace of mind. It is something that you own. You don't have to worry about paying monthly rent, or maybe the the owner of the house saying to you, you have to vacate it, find a new home. So when you buy, it's yours now. You can do whatever you want with it. So you have stability, and your children will also inherit that same home, and they will also have a place to live. But however, in the current climate, it seems that it's quite difficult to buy a house for first time house owners. But we should not lose hope, because the government itself has various schemes for first time buyers that don't involve interest as well, by which you can get a house. And there are also many other halal and sharia compliant mortgages that, although they have tougher requirements, but you can still attain them when you put the right amount of effort and you fulfill the requirements. And the more we get in ourselves involved with these Islamic or Sharia compliant mortgages, then they will begin to provide us with more and more options. Many times we say there's not much options available, or it's too expensive, they charge too much. But remember that it's a small market, and there is very less people who have invested in Sharia compliant mortgages. So that's why we should invest in them and also buy from them. So in the long run, inshallah, it will benefit those who can't even afford it. And the other option is also you can save up initial amount and you arrange loans from family, from friends. But we have to make sure that when we are borrowing money from family, from friends, from community members, whoever it may be, then we should have a robust repayment package. Because many times we borrow money or people give us money, but we fail to pay them back on time. Or if we are struggling, we fail to reach another agreement with them by which we can change the terms of the repayment. So we fail in our communication with them as well. So one of the ways by which we can buy a house is to involve our family, our friends, or our acquaintances, and get a loan from them and arrange a proper payment plan. And the longest ayat in the Quran is regarding having a robust agreement in our dealings. So if you are honest and robust in our dealings, then people will lend us the money and they'll be happy to have dealings with us. The third thing is, as a community, we should have our own arrangements and ways of helping our community members, our friends, relatives to buy houses. And there are many Muslims in our community whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted abundance of wealth. So we should invest in creating funds. We should create these funds or have a pot or some sort of system where the first time buyers, they can borrow the money and then pay back the money. Or alternatively, if you have enough wealth, you buy the house and you let it go on rent. And as the people are paying rent, slowly you hand over the ownership as you receive the payments in your agreed installments. So there's a person who doesn't have all the money, but you have it. So you buy a house, keep it in your name, and let someone else rent it. But through that rent, let him gain ownership of it. And over whatever number of years you have agreed, then the payment is complete and the house now transfers to the ownership of the one who used to rent. So you can make your profit in there. There's no harm in it. You can put your profit in there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has granted some people more wealth and others less. And it's for a reason. It's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should utilize whatever wealth Allah has given us in helping others, especially in becoming financially independent. Even though you may have your personal profit, your personal gain in there when you're helping someone to become financially independent, but that is good. Why? Because you will be more willing to do it. But if it is at your loss, then you will not be ready to do it because there will be no benefit for you. Although we understand the benefit of the akhirah, definitely, yes. But we need to also make sure that we get some benefit in this world as well. So that's another way of doing it. And when we do this, you will see how much barakah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you in your wealth and the happiness you will achieve. Why? Because you will be helping others become financially independent. So we should not always go for a conventional mortgage when we want to buy a house or give up the dream and the idea of buying a house. Keep on trying. Look at different avenues and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide a solution. So the three things which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said from the hadith is that when a person has a spacious home, from the goodness, from fortunate, a person is fortunate when he has a spacious home. So even if we are renting or we have our own homes, and there is no harm in renting if you can't afford to buy a house or low income. But the important thing from this hadith we learn is that we should have a spacious home, a spacious house that is good for our family. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made a dua for the spacious house. Allahumma ighfir li dhanbi wa wassi' li fi dari wa barik li fi amri. That, Ya Allah, grant me a spacious house. Why? Because a good and spacious house will give you yourself and every member in your family comfort and peace of mind. And as parents today as well, we need to understand that life nowadays is very different. And our children, they need that space when they are growing up. And on the other hand, space doesn't necessarily mean that you have a huge house, a huge mansion with many, many rooms. No. It should be comfortable and good enough to contain all your family members, taking into account your growing family as well. And that not everyone is tightly squeezed in. यहाँ तो वैसे घर भी छोटे ही होते हैं, कमरे भी छोटे होते हैं, तो इतने को भरकर और भी परेशानी होती है. So you should keep all these things in mind. And everyone's context of spaciousness will be different given their own circumstances. Some people might feel space for me is more. Some people might feel space for me is slightly less than what the other one thinks of. As long as your house gives you contentment and everyone enjoys being in the house and they want to spend time in the house, then that is what spacious is. Otherwise, if the house is too small, then you'll be distressed and you'll feel under pressure, worried, distracted, kid needs space, this happens. And some people, they can't afford a spacious house, then that's fine. But if you can afford, or a few years down the line, that things become better. And usually when you start off, when you get married, it's always small. But as you have children, Allah grants you barakah in your earnings. Allah grants you barakah in your earnings. And you will see yourself. You will move from 1 to 2 to 3. My personal experience, when we started off, was 1 bedroom, and then moved to 2, now 3. And it's not that we're earning so much or anything like that. No. It is the barakah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. And the difference in your life, you will feel it. A small, tight space versus a spacious home. Physically, mentally, in every aspect, you will feel better. And from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it says it's a source of goodness and happiness. Then you will be able to focus on other things and carry on with your life. वरना हमेशा परेशानी ही परेशानी रहेगी, खुद को भी और घर वालों की तरफ से भी, बच्चों की तरफ से भी. That's why it's important. All these things matter. You know, sometimes we think that yes, dunyavi, these are all worldly things. But having stability, personal stability, financial stability, stability in terms of family, no problems, issues, all of that goes a long way. Goes a long way. And through that, we can focus on our deen, on our Islam, on our community, on the tarbiyah of our children. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in that dua, Ya Allah, grant me forgiveness, and Ya Allah, grant me a spacious house, spaciousness in my house. And the third thing, he said, Wabarik li fi rizqi, and Ya Allah, grant me barakah in my sustenance. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't say here, Ya Allah, grant me a lot of sustenance. Rather, he said, Ya Allah, grant me barakah and blessing in my sustenance. That even though you might not be earning a lot and your wealth is not great, but your wealth should have barakah and blessing. And today's world, dunya, is the world of numbers. Everyone keeps on counting their wealth and keeps on striving to increase the number. How much more can I get? Increase the bank balance. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to in the Quran. Surah Humaza, Allah says, الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالَهُ وَعَدَّدَهُ. That this person, he accumulates wealth and he keeps on counting. And then, يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَهُ. This person thinks that his wealth has made him eternal. क्या पता आज आया कल गया, आज आया कल गया, आज कुछ नहीं, कल अल्लाह ने बहुत कुछ दे दिया. So this refers to those people who keep on accumulating wealth and keep on counting how much wealth they have, and they feel happy from hundreds to thousands to 10,000s to hundreds of thousands to 1,000,000 to 1,000,000,000. But he does not know that he cannot buy happiness or peace of mind with that wealth. Because money in itself does not bring comfort. The money is a means to achieve comfort. Money is a means to achieve comfort. But the money in itself cannot bring comfort. Why? Because if a person has a lot of money, but he does not have the barakah and blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that same money can become a means of torment and punishment and unhappiness for him. Maulana Thair Rahmatullah alayhi, he says a story in his khutbah. He said there was a person, to show an example, that he had plenty of wealth, gold and silver, and he had a room where he would put all his wealth, and every week he would go and check on his treasures. And the padlocks were such that it would be locked from outside, not inside. So then you can't open it from inside. It has to be from outside. So one day he went in and the door closed behind him. So now he could not go out. Now he has all the wealth there, his gold, his silver, everything. But can his wealth feed him? No. Can it give him drink? No. So eventually he died, sitting between all his treasures. So this wealth cannot satiate a person's hunger or quench our thirst, nor can it bring comfort and peace of mind. Rather, this is granted to us by who? Allah subhanahu. Allah is the one who feeds us. Allah is the one who quenches our thirst. Allah is the one who grants us comfort. And Allah is the one who grants us peace of mind. And we can get all of this without having any money. Without having any money, Allah can grant us food, drink, peace of mind, contentment, everything. But Allah is the one who provides. And there are many who have plenty of wealth, but they cannot sleep. They have millions in their bank accounts, but they are still unhappy. And there are others who earn minimum, low income, but they eat, they go to sleep, and they are content and happy. So we should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for income and not focus only on the number and wanting more and more and more. If you want to earn more, it's fine. But our intention should be correct. There should not be the greed of the wealth and the dunya. You have one shop, you invest more to 2, to 3, to 4, that's fine. But it shouldn't mean that because of you earning, maybe you lie, you cheat, you deceive, or you hurt other people because of that, or you end up not being able to give enough time to your family, focus on tarbiyah of your children, on your deen, on your iman. So it shouldn't become a means of distraction for you if you want to earn more. So there are people who keep on earning more and more and more. So it doesn't matter whether they lie, they cheat, or they usurp other people's rights. It doesn't bother them. But then they don't see the consequence of such haram and unlawful income. That you may feel you have got so much, but then you end up facing a lot of difficulties and end up spending more and more and more. Your misfortunes begin to pile up. That you end up spending so much. Today this has messed up, today that has happened, this has become ill, this has that. So your expenses keep on building up. So you keep on saying, I need more and more and more money. So you end up even spending that halal that you have just to keep up with all of that. That's a sign of not having barakah. But there are some who earn less. But every penny of his is halal. So his income becomes blessed, and that income provides him comfort. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also saves him from many, many possible misfortunes. So who is better? Who is better? That's why we should always make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us barakah. And it's very important. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made that dua. So if we have wealth or we don't have wealth, whatever it is, we should always make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us barakah in our wealth. Because if there is no blessings, then we will not get peace, tranquility, happiness, comfort, nothing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all barakah in our wealth. So that was the first thing which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, that it is fortunate, a person is fortunate when he has a spacious house, a good home. So he spoke about owning a house and having a spacious home. And the dua he made about barakah. The second thing which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, it's a sign of a person being fortunate, is having good neighbors, is having pious neighbors. Because when you have good neighbors, you have pious neighbors, again, you will have a life of peace and comfort and tranquility. And today we have forgotten this blessing of having good neighbors. For years we will live in a place, whether it's in an apartment, whether it's in a house, and we don't know who lives on the side of our homes, or who lives above us, who lives below us. No contact, no nothing. Maybe the day is less, but if you go to bigger cities, you will find this phenomena a lot. They'll be living next to each other for years in the same building, but they will not know each other. कोई खैर खाई आप उसके बारे में करते ही नहीं और मालूम ही नहीं. Everyone is focused in their own world and focusing on themselves. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith, he has mentioned so many rights of neighbors. And Jibril alayhi salam, he kept stressing to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the rights of neighbors. that the Prophet ﷺ says, I began to think that the neighbors will also end up getting a share of the inheritance. Such is the importance of neighbors. So when you're looking for a house to move in into a apartment, a flat, amongst the other things, one of the things we should look at is look for good neighbors. If the neighbors are pious and have good morals, then it's a great blessing. Why? Because we have to deal with our neighbors all the time. And we are in their company, we live together next to each other. So if you have pious neighbors, then you will also have good companionship. And good companionship influences the behavior of people. So having good neighbors, good companionship, and that will influence your behavior as well. Hassan Basri, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahmatullah alayh, he was living in a house, and next to him there was a Jew who was living there. When he sold his house, he put it up for sale for double the amount of the going rate. So people said to him, why are you doing this? Why are you selling it at a high price? He says, one is the price of the house, and the other is the price of the neighbor you will get. The other is the price of the neighbor you will get. So the value of the neighbor is also there. That's why today, if you go to some areas, the value of the homes are very low. Why? Because the neighborhood is not as good. And some areas you go to, the value is high because of the type of neighborhood. I remember Sheikh Ibrahim Madani from America, New York. They have a big Darloom there just outside New York in Buffalo. So when they opened their Darloom, an Islamic university institution there, that was a very rundown area. It was an area where drugs were being sold openly. The crime rate was very, very high. But they got a nice space, a big space, enough to open their institute there. And they provided the usual safety, and they also bought houses along that street where it was as well. The investment wasn't just in the building, but in the neighborhood as well. Remember that. Like, for example, when we build a masjid as well, we should look at what kind of neighborhood there is and also invest in the neighborhood. Why? Because if our neighborhood is not good, then the effect of whatever structure, community center, whatever we are building will not be as much. So then they bought the building and a few houses along the neighborhood as well. And obviously, being Muslims, righteous people, students of Deen, the teachers who are there, and the barakah of the hadith and the Quran and tafsir, all of that being recited and learned, slowly, the people of bad etiquette of drugs and violence and all of that crime, it all began to go less and less and less, and it became one of the best areas to live in. So this is the effect. So good neighbors. And in a hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would make the dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min jari su. That, Ya Allah, I seek your protection from a bad neighbor. Ya Allah, I seek your protection from one bad neighbor. And he would also make dua that Allah protect him from a bad neighbor where he was due to live for a long time. Because one is a companion, when you're traveling, you travel with them, you should have good companions, but then you will separate. But when you're living in an area for a long time, then you need to have good neighbors as well. Once Abu Radhiallahu narrates that someone asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, there are two women. One of them prays the tahajjud all night and fasts during the day. And she does many other good deeds, gives sadaqah. However, she also hurts her neighbors with her tongue. She also hurts her neighbors with her tongue. So what is the judgment for this woman? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is no goodness or khair in this woman. She is destined for Jahannam. Then someone asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, another woman, she prays a fara'id, but not nawafil salah, compulsory actions. And if she gives sadaqah, then she will give some piece of cheese, meaning that nothing valuable, just for the sake of it. But the thing is, she's very, very careful of not causing harm to anyone. So she reads her fara'id, not too many nawafil. And when she gives charity, something small, nothing major. But she never causes harm or hurt to anyone. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this lady will be one of the people of Jannah. On the people of Jannah. Why? That is one woman, she prays the nawafil, gives charity, but her tongue. And from the nawafil, the more nawafil you read, the more closer you become to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on the other hand, when you hurt other people, then that is a sin and absolutely forgiven. And Allah will not forgive you until you seek forgiveness from that person. That is why this lady, although she does all of that, but she hurts other people and the neighbors especially. She's good to her neighbors. So then she was bad to her neighbors. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that this will lead her to Jahannam. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the thing which most people will face and it will take them into Jahannam is the tongue. Is the tongue. If we misuse it, it becomes a mean of our doom. And if you utilize it properly, then it becomes a means of our comfort and gaining entry into Jannah. So it's not always about our ibadah, but also about our interaction with other people and being of service to others. So we should make sure we don't hurt our neighbors. In a hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the person will enter Jahannam from whom his neighbors are not safe from him. So if your neighbors are hurt by you, they don't feel safe, they don't feel happy, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says a person like that will not enter Jannah. Another hadith he mentions, keep the space in front of your homes clean. Why? Your neighbors are passing by. Or don't throw any rubbish there. Today what do? We clean our side and we leave the rubbish by the neighbor's side of it. Rather, it should be a neighborhood. And another hadith mentions, whatever gift a neighbor sends, we should appreciate it. Don't think, oh, it's something small. He says, even if it may be that it is the burnt hoof or foot of a goat, even if that is sent, appreciate it. Why? It's the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts. So we should treat our neighbors well, even if they are non-Muslim. Even if they are non-Muslims. Many hadith mention this. So the third thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned regarding a sign of being a Muslim, of a Muslim being fortunate. Number one, we said, was a spacious house. Number two, good neighbors. And number three, a pleasant ride, a good ride. So that you can ride with comfort. And you can't always be worried about having a breakdown. So that's another thing. That as long as, whether you have an expensive car or a cheap car, as long as it gives you comfort, and when you're buying it, you have the correct intention, then you should keep a good ride, a good car. And usually when we see someone having a good house, a good car, we begin to automatically think, oh, they are wealthy, they are very rich. No. It is from the goodness. Allah has made you fortunate that you have something good, a spacious home, a good home, a nice car. And when we see others with that, sometimes we begin to feel jealous. Or how can he have this car? It's like as if we are the only ones who can have a nice car, a nice house, a nice life, nice food. Others should not have that. No. We should love for others what we love for ourselves. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all good and spacious homes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all good neighbors. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all BMWs or maybe Mercedes. Nice cars. Ameen. Allah